When the sands remembered the king, Chronicles of a Forgotten Civilization. The sun hung like a golden coin above the endless sea of sand. The dunes stretched far beyond the horizon, their curves shifting with the wind, whispering secrets only time could understand. Travelers rarely came this deep into the desert. Those who did often never returned. But on this day, the silence was broken by the soft crunch of boots pressing into the hot sand. A young archaeologist named Aamir Nadeem led a small team through the dunes. He had spent years chasing legends, stories of a lost kingdom swallowed by the desert, a city once known as Zarathen, the city of the eternal sun. "Professor," called his assistant Lina, her scarf flapping in the wind. "Are you sure this is the place? We've been walking for days. The maps show nothing here." Aamir smiled faintly, brushing dust from his compass. "Maps forget what the sands bury," he said. "But the desert remembers everything." The wind carried a strange hum, like a sigh echoing from beneath the dunes. Aamir stopped. He kneeled, running his fingers through the sand. It was warm, but beneath the surface, he felt something smooth, cold, and ancient. He brushed away the top layer of sand. Beneath it was a slab of black stone, carved with intricate symbols. Lines curved like flowing water, and at the center, a crown was etched, a crown surrounded by a burning sun. Lina gasped. That's the same symbol from the old scrolls in Cairo." Aamir's heart raced. "Yes," he whispered. "The mark of King Azrael the Eternal. We've found him." That night, as they set up camp, the desert wind howled louder. The stars burned brighter than usual, and the air felt heavy, as though the dunes themselves were holding their breath. Aamir couldn't sleep. He sat by the fire, staring at the strange stone slab, now half exposed. He whispered softly, "If the legends are true, then this place was once the heart of a great empire." The fire flickered. For a moment, Aamir thought he saw shadows moving in the dunes, figures of tall men with spears, a golden city shining in the distance. He blinked, and the vision vanished. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that the desert was watching him. By morning, the excavation began. The team cleared layer after layer, revealing a wide courtyard of black and gold stone. Ancient carvings adorned the walls, battles, processions, and scenes of a king standing before a blazing sun. In the center stood a massive statue, half buried but still majestic. The king's face was noble yet haunting, his eyes carved with an eternal sadness. Around his neck hung a stone amulet shaped like a sunburst. Lina studied the markings. "These carvings talk about the Age of Light," she said. "A time when gods walked beside men." Aamir nodded. "King Azrael was said to have been chosen by the sun god himself," he murmured. "He built a kingdom of beauty and power until betrayal shattered it." That evening, a storm rose from the horizon. Sand whipped through the air, forcing the team into their tents. Aamir stayed outside, mesmerized by the statue. Lightning flashed, revealing the king's face in stark relief. For a brief second, Aamir swore the statue's eyes glowed gold. When the storm passed, silence returned. But the desert had changed. The dunes around the site had shifted, revealing a staircase descending into the ground. Lina gasped. "Professor, there's something down there." Torch in hand, Aamir stepped forward. The air grew cooler as they descended. At the bottom lay a vast chamber filled with murals, scenes of triumph and sorrow, of light and shadow. And there, at the center, stood a golden throne. Dust clung to its edges, but the craftsmanship was perfect. Upon it rested a small, jeweled crown, still glowing faintly despite the centuries. "The crown of Azrael," Aamir whispered. "It's real." But as he reached out to touch it, the torches flickered. A cold wind swept through the chamber. A deep, echoing voice filled the air. "Who disturbs the slumber of kings?" The ground trembled. Sand poured in from above. The team screamed as shadows rose from the corners, tall, robed figures with eyes like molten gold. Aamir froze. "We mean no harm," he shouted. "We seek only to remember your kingdom." The largest figure stepped forward. "To remember," it said slowly, is to awaken. The chamber darkened. The golden light from the crown pulsed like a heartbeat. Aamir found himself alone. His team vanished. The air shimmered, and the chamber transformed around him. He was no longer in ruins. He stood in a grand hall, marble pillars rising high, sunlight streaming through crystal windows. Before him sat King Azrael, alive, radiant, and crowned in gold. "Welcome, traveler from the future," said the king, his voice deep and sorrowful. "You have come seeking truth, and found a memory." Aamir's heart pounded. "You're real. This place, it's alive." Azrael stood. "Long ago, Zarathen was a kingdom of peace. We harnessed the power of the sun to heal, to build, to grow. But the light blinded us to our own pride." He gestured toward the murals, now glowing. They showed a council of nobles bowing before him, then later raising swords against him. "My own kin betrayed me," Azrael said. "They sought immortality without honor. So I cursed the sands to bury our sins forever." "Then why show me this?" Aamir asked. The king's gaze was heavy. "Because time is a cruel guardian. The world forgets what it fears. But the sands, they remember. You have awakened their memory." Suddenly, flames erupted along the walls. Screams echoed through the halls. The vision twisted, the city burning, soldiers falling, the king standing alone on his throne as the desert swallowed the light. "Stop," Aamir cried. "Please stop." The king turned to him one last time. "Remember this, seeker of truth. The light that gives life can also destroy. Tell the world that Zarathen was not lost, it was judged." The vision shattered. Aamir fell to his knees, coughing as dust filled his lungs. The chamber was once again a ruin. The crown lay before him, cracked in two. Lina and the others rushed in, faces pale. "Professor, are you all right?" He looked up slowly. "The sands, they remember everything." Weeks passed. The discovery of Zarathen shook the world. Scholars, governments, and media descended upon the desert. Aamir became a legend overnight, the man who found the lost kingdom. But fame brought unease. Every night, Aamir dreamed of the burning city, of Azrael's final words echoing in the wind. The desert, once silent, now howled endlessly. Lina noticed the change. "You don't sleep anymore," she said softly. "You keep staring at the sands." Aamir nodded. "They're restless," he whispered. "We've disturbed something that should have stayed buried." Then, one evening, strange tremors shook the excavation site. A crack spread through the ground. The golden ruins began to sink once more. Aamir ran to the edge, shouting orders. "Evacuate the site. Get everyone out." But it was too late. A massive sandstorm rose from nowhere, swallowing the camp. Aamir shielded his eyes, and through the storm, he saw him again. King Azrael stood atop a dune, his cloak flowing like fire, his crown glowing faintly. "You were warned," the king's voice echoed in the wind. "The past is not a treasure. It is a warning." Aamir shouted into the storm. "Then tell me what you want." The king's eyes burned brighter. "Remember, and let the world learn before it forgets again." Then, the wind swallowed him. When the storm cleared, the ruins were gone, buried once more beneath endless sand. Only Aamir and a handful of survivors remained. Years later, Aamir stood alone at the edge of the desert. The world had moved on, but he hadn't. The site was lost again, covered by the same sands that had hidden it for millennia. He knelt and placed his hand on the ground. The sand was warm, alive with whispers. He closed his eyes. "I remember," he said softly. "I remember the king who tried to save his people. The city that burned for its pride. The light that turned to fire." A faint breeze stirred the dunes. For a brief moment, he thought he heard the sound of distant drums, of voices singing beneath the sun. A single ray of light broke through the clouds, illuminating a patch of sand before him. There, glinting faintly, lay a golden shard, the broken piece of Azrael's crown. Aamir picked it up and smiled. "You're still here," he whispered. "The desert remembers you." He turned and walked away, leaving the sands to their silence once more. As the wind rose, it carried faint words across the dunes, ancient, almost musical. All kingdoms fade, but memory endures. For when the sands remember, the world shall listen again.